Good afternoon. Happy Friday, guys. Hey, this is Craig Modelmog on October 29th. This is the last Friday of October. It's crazy. 2021. And sorry I missed you last week. For those of you that are regulars, last week Tanya and I were in Kansas City. Our son had surgery on his leg, both of his legs, for compartment syndrome, which lots of runners or some runners have. He's developed that. Went really well. He's actually recovering at a pretty good clip, and in 6 to 8 weeks he should be back on his feet running again. It's pretty amazing. But anyway, that all went well. And then we celebrated Tanya's mom's 75th birthday in the big town of Victoria, Kansas. Yes, it was a spectacle, let me tell you. But anyway, it's good to be back. It was a good week. Fall's definitely in the air. I know about 2/3 of my leaves are on the ground. Now they're on my trash can. I hope another windstorm comes with this storm coming up here Sunday and blows the rest of them off, preferably outside of my yard. But if they're in my yard, my wiener dogs and I, we'll pick them all up. They tend to snack on the ones that are left. But anyway, let's kick things off today with the disclaimer. The content that is presented on this show is for informational purposes only. None of the information contained constitutes an offer to sell or buy or a solicitation or an offer to buy or sell any securities, investment vehicles, etc., etc. Nor does it constitute an investment recommendation, legal advice, tax advice, parenting advice, personal advice. Investments can and will lose money. They are not FDIC insured, and I hate disclaimers, but it is the world we live in, as we all know. But anyway, 4 big things we're going to hit today. S&P continues to climb higher. Going to talk about how many all-time highs we've hit. We're going to talk about earnings season. Earnings season is cranking right now. And we're going to talk about that because that was one big concern that was out there. We're going to talk about the current economic landscape, particularly on the inflationary side, because inflation just continues to rip. It continues to rip, and it's not done yet. And then we're going to have a very brief COVID update. And then I'm going to finish that up with a trend spotting from famed demographer Neil Howe. Anyway, S&P 500. 2 days ago, maybe 2 days ago, maybe yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Hit its 58th all-time high of the year. 58. That's with a 5 and a capital 8. That is crazy. NASDAQ hit its 35th all-time high of the year. What does that mean? Stocks are going up, people. They're going to continue to go up. Earnings season is well underway. We'll move on here. Roughly at this time, 263 of the 500 companies in the S&P 500 have reported. Right now, the average sales growth is plus 14.83. The average earnings growth is plus 33.5% year-over-year comparison. So you know what? Earnings are off to a spectacular start. They really are. And it's something that was a concern that I think a lot of economists were trying to narrate, saying that, you know what? Oh my gosh, earnings are not going to be very good. You need to run for the hills. You need to hide, that's how they're positioning. So they're trying to get more lambs and pigs and cows to follow them to the slaughterhouse. That's kind of what they say. You don't want to follow the herd. It's just leading you to slaughter. I know that's a really terrible analogy, but it's kind of accurate because some people can get murdered. So anyway, earnings continues to look strong. I see it finishing strong. And you know what? Corporate America is alive and well. What does that mean, though? That means this reacceleration that I've been talking about now is really taking place. We're going to see the fourth quarter of 2021 will be a quarter that, looking back, and we saw the economy reaccelerate along with inflation. I've been talking about this for weeks now, and the probability now is it's super, super high. So that's really how I'm positioned currently and how I will continue to be positioned until the data tells me to do something different. And you know what? I don't know when that will be. I don't know what that will be. Who's calling me? Name unavailable. That means nobody. For those of you joining me for the first time, this is uncut and unedited. I grip it and rip it like John Daly, and that's why my phone's ringing, and I'm just going to keep going and ignore it. So if it was my wife, I probably would have picked it up, though. Tanya, I would have, I swear. Anyway, moving on here. Economic landscape. This is what's interesting. And you say, well, Craig, how can you say that, we're seeing a reacceleration in the economy? Well, one, you look at earnings. That's number one. Number two, if you look at inflation, inflation continues to remain elevated and accelerate. Some little inflationary numbers here. The CRB commodity index year to date is up 41.6%. I've got my cheat sheet right above my little camera here. Crude oil is up 75.7% year to date. Lumber is up 16. Sugar's up 33.7%. Glad I'm not doing sugar right now because I would still pay for it, but sugar is higher. Corn is up by 23.7%. Oats up 112.5%. You oatmeal people, you're going to see it here soon. It's coming. It's coming. A couple others that really caught my eye. Natural gas up 138.66%. That's as of the end of September. Heating oil up 56%. Crude oil, we mentioned that. Coffee up 50.91. See, I can't drink coffee now. I'm a little detox, so I don't care. But for my coffee drinkers, it's expensive. Cotton, tidy whities, up 34.48. I mentioned sugar, lean hogs up 19. Summarizing, prices are going up across the board. Okay, the only things not up year to date are platinum, gold, silver, and palladium. Metals. Interesting. Anyway, all of these increases in pricing, what happens? It gets passed on to the consumers. Okay, if I'm a restaurant owner, I'm in Victoria, Kansas. Okay, Ilona, who owns the library, which is a little bar and restaurant in Victoria of about 1,000 stinking people, she had to increase her prices. People were bitching because they had to pay $6.95 for a burger and fries. I'm like, people, shut up, that's cheap. She had to increase her prices. Why? Her costs are going up, even in little Victoria, Kansas, okay? All the manufacturers of clothing with cotton, you don't think they're passing that on. They are to the consumers. So consumers, it's already being impactful. It's already been impactful. It's going to continue to be impactful. When I look at oil, it would not shock me to see oil north of 90 bucks a barrel. It would not shock me to see natural gas at 8 to 10 to 12 bucks because we're entering the cold part of the year and people, when they start burning the furnace to keep them warm, we're going to be using it even more. So you're going to see inventories continue to go down, and I think we're going to see prices go up. It's going to get a lot more expensive just to heat our homes and do stuff like that, which just makes it tough. It makes it really, really tough. I don't look for that to change. And I think with that, that also reflects an environment where economic activity accelerating from a standpoint of earnings, from a standpoint of economic activities in corporations. And with that, you're seeing inflation going up. That's actually good for the stock market. Interest rates continue to climb as well. We saw a little peak. They came off after in the middle of the second quarter. We've seen them reaccelerate, come off. Now they're going back up again. It would not shock me to see the 10-year Treasury at 1.75 and the 30-year at 210, 215, 2.1 to 2.15. That is meaningful. So we have to keep our eyes on that. If you look at oil, again, I mentioned how high that's going up as well as the rest of the commodity world continues to rip. That is, again, signaling that we are in this type of a quadrant of the economy, and we're seeing that now in stocks. Other areas looking good, small caps, resurrected, hit a new high the other day. Tech stocks, strong. Energy stocks, strong. Financials, banks, strong. All those things are representative of the type of economic environment we are in. So it just is not looking at one point. You have to look at the particulars, plural. And we're looking at lots of things to help guide us, okay? Quick COVID update. We're seeing COVID here in the U.S. Continue to drop. Trends down in the U.S. were down 14% week over week. You're seeing it's really improve on a national standpoint. Now you do have pockets like Larimer County here where the ER rooms are still very full, and thus we have brought the mask mandate back. But for most of the country, we're seeing that improvement. Now, as we enter in the cold months, I'm anxious to see what happens. But again, now flip that. You look over in Europe. Europe is struggling again. We've got an accelerating. Globally, cases are accelerating 3%. Why? Europe is really imploding again. Russia was up 12%. Ukraine 46%, Netherlands 51%, Germany 33%, France 16%, Poland 89%. So we're seeing challenges in parts of the world, which tends to be those places that really aren't really far ahead on the vaccination standpoint. Whether the vaccine works or not is not my point. My point is that in those areas that tend to be under-vaccinated, we tend to see accelerated positivity tests escalate at a much rapid pace. So we'll see if that continues. Okay, should be very, very interesting. In closing today, this is going to be kind of a short one, but that's okay. Looking at the Misinformation Nation, Neil Howe rolled out some most recent information, and it said 95% of all Americans think that misinformation is a problem when it comes to getting information about current events and important issues. Most blame social media users, 77%, and social media companies, 73% for its spread. But not far behind that are U.S. politics at 72%, and that is both sides of the aisle. I don't think I really trust very many right now because there's lots of misinformation out there, and it's just a bunch of garbage. Also, people flagged foreign governments, namely Russia and China. Shocker, no. Do you believe anything coming out of either place? You can't. It's garbage. Both places are. It's complete propaganda. You don't know if they're coming or going, if the sun is rising or setting when it comes to what comes out of China and Russia. And I would agree with that. So again, just interesting data. I like the numbers, and I always like to throw the numbers out there because it makes me pause. Okay? And that's what I hope it makes you do, is pause and go, I wonder if that is true or not. If you're not sure, even if you're sure, you know what? Go out and check another source just to make sure that you're not spreading false information. See, that's the thing. You hear something, and then what do? We turn around and we tell people about it. That's normal. That's how we're wired as people. We need to be cautious to make sure we're not helping out here with the garbage news story that's not true or is not completely true. So sadly, that's the world we're in today. If you don't like it, tough. It's just the deal. But it's important to be educated. It's important to be informed, and it's important to know what the truth is. So anyway, in closing, this is a short one, probably my shortest one in a while. That's because I actually got to go here, and I've got to shut it down here earlier today because I got to go run an errand. But anyway, it is Friday, October 29th. I love you guys. Have a fantastic week. I will probably get back on next week because we've got some really good stuff coming out with Jay Powell and the federal government. We've got a spending bill. So I've got a few things out there that I'm kind of waiting to see what happens, because a lot of that is going to be impactful. And as you know, when you go and you connect the dots, of which it is not linear, the connection from point A to point B is never or rarely straight. It's following the data, and that's what we're doing. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. Have a fabulous weekend. And this is Craig Modelmog again for Wall Street X's and O's. Love you guys, and I am